look at that. That's a skirt steak? Sirloin, some kind of sirloin? No, man, it's a flap steak, which, in my humble opinion, is an underrated cut of beef. No time to waste. Now let's go. So flap meat or flap steak, it comes from the bottom sirloin butt of the cow, but in my opinion, it's not as lean and tough as like a regular sirloin steak. Look at the fat and the grain, makes it awesome for slicing. This is also known as Bavette, and I believe in the northeast of the states, this is called sirloin tip. This piece is from Costco, where you'll see it in large chunks like this, but a lot of times you will see it broken into smaller chunks as well. Just do a touch of oil under, touch of oil on top. This just acts like a binder more than anything else. Helps the seasoning stick. Now, a little bit of the famous rosemary salt going in. If you know, you know. Awesome homemade seasoning. I'll put a link in the corner to that right now. Although you can use whatever seasoning you like. This is just one option. You could just do salt and pepper, would be great. Little Sergeant Gilbert reporting for duty. That's just black pepper, and I like to go pretty finely ground on steak. Reason being, if you have a big chunk of pepper on your steak, it's literally lifting the steak off the pan. And so you're gonna lose the sear of wherever that peppercorn was, and that's no good. Sear means color, color means flavor, flavor means happy times. And just do the other side. Oh, and by the way, I did temper this meat for about 30 minutes. It's not a super thick steak, or otherwise I would have gone a little longer. And that helps the steak to cook evenly, as well as something I don't see talked about ever. If you put a cold steak into a hot pan, you're taking energy away from the pan. You're gonna lose your sear much quicker. Sear is color, color is flavor, flavor is happiness, right? Trick to a good flap steak, really high heat. Whether you're grilling it, broiling it, cooking it in the pan like this, just make sure it's hot. If you're not setting off smoke alarms, well, you probably didn't have the pan hot enough, and I know that sucks, but that's the way it is. Open your windows, turn on your fan. That's just what you gotta do. Pan's been on high heat for about 5 minutes. That's just some avocado oil going in. Any neutral oil will do. When you start to see smoke coming off that oil, now we'll drop our steak, laying away from you. Keep that heat nice and high. Now, while this is searing, something I really want you all to understand, all meat has different sweet spots. For a filet mignon, beef tenderloin, I would say closer to the rare side than the medium rare side. Ribeye and New York strip for me are just straight up medium rare, perfect. Flap steak, between medium rare and medium, we need between temperatures because that's when it's best. A lamb rack closer to medium well than medium, you understand? It's sweet spots. That's when the meat is at peak tenderness. So next time someone comes to you and just says, oh, it's gotta be medium rare, and they're holding their pinky up, you set them straight because it's just not true. Okay, about 3.5 minutes, now we'll turn. Keep that heat high. Sear for another 90 seconds and then turn the heat all the way down to low. Dropping in some crushed garlic, shallots, and some unsalted butter. When that butter foams, we'll drop in some thyme. Put our ingredients on top. Now pan back. Baste the steak. Heat's all the way low. You don't want to burn the butter, just brown it. Also, be aware when you're basting steak, or anything for that matter, any protein, it's gonna carry over cook a lot more. Carry over cooking means if I pull a steak at 125, it'll climb up to 135, meaning there's still a lot of heat in that steak that's transferring from the outside down into the middle. So for this steak shooting between medium rare and medium, because of the basting, I'm gonna pull it at about 125. It should come up to about 140 or even a little more. And I think it's gonna be perfect. Also remember when you're temping, you wanna find the thickest part, go in at an angle like so, pull back a little. We're just gonna baste this up all the way to 125 and then a good long rest as well for flap steak. A little longer than half the amount of time it took to cook. So if this takes 10 minutes to cook, I'm gonna rest it for about 6 minutes as opposed to the usual 5. Same deal with something like a flat iron. These steaks with all those long grains, they require more resting in my opinion, unless it's super thin. There, we hit 125. Now we're just gonna let that rest, 6 minutes. That was about 4 minutes of basting, pouring a little butter over. Oh, and by the way, all those garlic and shallots make the most unbelievable snack. They never go to waste. You can even eat them with a steak. If you think pouring a little bit of that butter over the sliced steak is a bad idea, well, you're out of your mind. So I've created this angle here for you. So you can see after this steak is cooked, there's a big curvature like this, meaning these really thin edges will probably be well done. The middle will be like we intended. And I'm not upset about this because somebody always wants those edges, even if they don't want to admit it. So whole family's good. So grains all running this way, so we slice that way. And like I said, starting with these edges, gonna be kind of well done. But as we get inside here, more and more pink as we go. And like I said, I'm telling you, this is the sweet spot for flap steak. Gosh, man, I love this steak. Because you've sliced it that right way, I mean, it really, like, look how this is pulling apart. This is known as like a tougher cut of meat. Come on. Inexpensive as well. Wow, look at this. That is incredibly tender. Oh, Yep. friends. Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a great time with the family. And until next time, you know I love you and I'm out.